Arnold Schwarzenegger's autograph is £300. Somebody was selling it at Comic-Con. And I thought that's probably a good one to invest in because he's probably going to die soon, right? He's got the heart. His heart's been doing overtime for pretty long. But he's not fat. He's just big. But your heart's still not meant to do that much work.
It just fills me with fear for the future of humanity. And do you know what else is just laden with fear?
It Chapter 2 out in cinemas right now.
Play the intro.
We're getting so good at it.
It's Meandering Movies. It's Meandering Movies. It's Meandering Movies. So won't you lend an ear?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Meandering Movie Podcast. I don't know why I'm clicking. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a crab.
Please stop. That upsets the audio boy.
Crab walks into a bar and a barman says, "Oi, you, get out." And Crab says, "What the fuck? Why? You were in here yesterday giving it all of that."
Yeah, that's a great audio joke.
So it's a fucking terrible
because no one can see what you just did.
For anyone at home, I was doing sassy hand, crab hands. Sassy crab hands.
It's even better when you explain it.
Okay. I mean, you can cut it, you can leave it. Welcome to the Meandering Movie Podcast. I just like, it's extras. Extras for our listeners.
That they can't see or experience?
They can experience the audio. It's an audio...
But you didn't make any noise with your hands.
All right, fine. Welcome to the Meandering Movie Podcast. I'm Gary.
And I'm the man of 1,000 compliments, Gavin.
Give me one.
Today, your mustache is looking fresh, thick and fine.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, you gonna see?
Today we're going to do what we do at the end of most months. Although I think this is releasing at the beginning of a month. It's a movie roundup for...
movie review roundup for the month of September 2019.
I was right. I was going to say September. I faltered. I should have just gone with it.
I was here to pick you up and get you across the finish line.
Now it made it more obvious that I wasn't quite sure what month we're in.
I mean... We'll be in October soon. The 10th month of the year.
Don't tell the listeners that.
Oh, okay.
When we record these, they go out on the same day.
Oh, of course, because we are just overjoyed with free time.
So yeah.
And we don't have to edit the absolute shit out of these.
Oh, of course we don't. We take
we
perfect.
don't.
I've edited it twice.
You're so bitter about it.
We're take perfect. What are you talking about, audio boy? One take. That's why they call me One Take Copeland. Because I only take one take.
Do you want to take that shot again?
I fucked it. That's the worst time to fuck something.
Yeah.
So it's probably the biggest. We got a list of 8 films that we're probably going to talk 5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 in depth.
Some of them will maybe just give a wee glancing touch upon.
Yeah. But the big ones that we wanted to talk about specifically, and we'll start with It, Chapter 2.
Directed by Andy Michucci, who directed the first one. He's a Spanish man?
Sounds it from the name.
Michucci? I don't know.
But yeah, overall, it was a film that it had so much to follow. Well, it kind of didn't. It Chapter 1 is a good film, I think.
Yeah, I was going to ask, did you like It Chapter 1?
I came out of It Chapter 1 thinking it felt completely overhyped from everyone, but it holds together a decent chunk.
Yeah.
Definitely has its issues. And
One take
Copeland definitely has its issues. And, it's not the scariest movie, but it had good acting. The story's it. Everyone knows it anyway. And it had some nice set pieces. So yeah, like overall, you can stick it on. You can watch it. It finishes. You feel like you've not lost time.
But with It Chapter 2, what did you think of that?
It was flip. Okay, the biggest issues I had with it, one was it was just flip-flopping between being a straight-out comedy to jarring, horrendous, horror.
Non-scary horror.
But the problem was it wasn't even scary horror. It's just, it's so formulaic that it has lost all it's just lost all effort to be frightening.
Any
Does that make
tension,
sense?
any fear, any
Yeah.
suspension of any suspense. I should say.
It's the setups are so painfully obvious in that movie.
And there's so many of them because
Yeah.
of the structure of the story.
Because every kid gets. So every character who's now an adult, the film actually the breakdown of the film is also another thing that just fucking doesn't justify it. It starts with them coming together, and then the second act, they agree to go find their tokens, which we'll talk about. But the second act is literally a montage, effectively, and long montages. But effectively, it's how many kids are left at that point? 4. So it's 8 segments of each kid. And then it shows you a glance into the history of them getting another fright from It the Clown. And then they're a grown-up. And then it shows you them getting a fright from It the Clown. And it follows that pattern for the entire second act.
Yeah.
One character, childhood, grown-up. Next character, childhood, grown-up. Third, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's all about like it's them as an adult. It then glances back to them as a kid, showing what their token or totem or thing was, and then how that is an influential element in the defeating of Pennywise, and then it flash forward back again to them being an adult, and they've got their totem, and there's one last scare from Pennywise, and then they run back to this empty hotel, and I'm just like, okay, and then do it the second one, and do it, and then by the time
empty hotel, which at no point has a single other person in
there's
it.
no member of staff. The entire town of Derry is just devoid of humans,
And it's weird. Other than the beginning.
Yeah, except in the beginning of the carnival and stuff. And then when James McAvoy's character goes into the wee shop and Stephen King's the shop
Stephen
owner,
King's cameo.
which I was just like, one, I was like, because Stephen King used to do a whole bunch of cameos for his movies. But at the same time, it's like, I can't stand Stephen King. So I saw him and I was like, this is going to be tragic. And then when the other guy goes to the pharmacy, there's people there, and the director has a cameo in that segment. He's standing in the background at one point. There's a director. He's put himself in his own film. That's quite
Why
sad.
are they doing that?
It's
Why
sad. Don't do it, directors. Don't do it unless you're Alfred Hitchcock. Don't do it. Can't get away with it. But then, like, because when it gets to the guy at the pharmacy, it cuts to him, and I went, oh fuck, because just to say it outright, chapter 2 is 2 hours and 49 minutes long. It takes on fucking Return of the King level length of runtime,
And
which
it feels.
it's insane. So when it gets to that
guys,
guy's totem grabbing segment, I'm just like, oh my god, we've not even got through this guy's yet. And once we get through that, there's still so much more to get through. And I just kind of slumped down in my seat.
He's the
at
last
point.
one, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the last
And
one
then
to
it
do
moves
his
into the third act, but
totem
it's
thing.
still fucking.
But it's like, I remember just slumping down in my seat, putting my head against the wall, and just giving out this kind of long sigh of, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, this has just become. Fatigue has not only set in, it's taken over my body and is now dismantling it piece by piece until I turn into just dust of not caring anymore.
So, don't you mean alcohol poisoning?
I'm sorry. Well, that's. Well, maybe.
In my case,
here's what I should have done.
Fatigue.
Here's what I realised is before I walked into it, I was like, I might actually just grab like a wee beer or something and take that with me in. And I didn't do that because I was like,
Should have done that.
Because I was like, I'll need to pee, and then I'll be up. I was like, I wish I'd gotten at least 4 pints. Walked in, just like, you know those, like when you get 4 drinks at McDonald's and they put them in the wee tray thing?
Little cardboard tray.
I should have walked in with that, of 4 pints, sat it down in my lap and just went,
Just gone to town.
let's do this. Come on, let's get
And
this
maybe you
over
would
with.
have fallen asleep by the end of it because you maybe had one too many, and that wouldn't have been a bad thing.
I wouldn't have missed it.
You would have been happier.
Because I'm on the similar page of you. I liked it, chapter 1. The dynamic between those kids was great. It was very Stranger Things-esque, or Goonies-esque. It was in that kind of time of media where everything was kind of going back to the 80s. Those kids were great together. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise was like just so exciting to look at. Some of the set pieces, some of the imagery was quite haunting. The comedy horror aspect was an issue, but it wasn't damaging for the film.
It didn't feel as glaring in the first one.
it didn't feel like it just...
Because it separated them enough in the sense that in the first one you would have a horror sequence, it would try and be as scary as possible. Then afterwards they'd have the whiplash, but in that case the kids trying to deal with the horror, and they do that by making jokes. And at least
mum
it
jokes
feels...
and stuff like that, and it was like...
It feels like they're just trying to cope with what's going on.
They felt like actual kids dealing with the situation you're in.
Whereas in It Chapter 2, halfway through any sequence, Bill Hader will just crack a joke.
Or the guy who was the hypochondriac would just...
Yeah.
Like, there's that scene where he stabs the guy, and then he walks out of the bathroom making jokes about his mullet and stuff. And I'm just like, well, like, what movie are we in right now?
That scene entirely, though, when he gets stabbed in the face and then he steps into the bath and he's like laughing, he's like, ha ha ha. And it was
shot
totally so weird.
Yeah, it was shot in a kind of edited in a comedy kind of sense. It was so bizarre. Like the entire film, like I sat there through that entire film, which was just unpleasant by the end. And the entire audience around me was just in hysterics the entire time. There was never one moment that I saw anyone in that audience react scared. There was no jets
Dave and
back.
I laughed way more than we jumped. I jumped once, and bizarrely, the bit that made me jump had nothing to do with it, the clown. Nothing to do with Pennywise, a single moment. It was the lumberjack jump.
Oh yeah, it
fright.
just came from nowhere.
I don't know, but I knew it was coming. I knew exactly because he's looking at the lumberjack statue and then it's gone and he's like, oh my God. And I was like, well, the lumberjack thing's, oh, fuck, it did scream. That was the only one that gave me a genuine fright. And even that was such a cheap.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, personally, never once was I, in fact, not that I wasn't even scared. It's that film.
I was never scared.
Well, I mean, like,
I got a fright.
I never jumped.
Yeah,
or anything,
yeah.
And what I realized coming out of that film is I had not a single emotional reaction to that film.
Yeah.
I didn't laugh because I didn't sign up for a comedy and I didn't find it funny. None of the jokes landed. And the stuff that wasn't supposed to be funny, but the audience were still laughing at. I was just looking on, being like, "You've failed at your film at this point."
Yeah.
I was never scared. I was never frightened. I never jumped. I never smiled. I never just nothing. I just looked
struggled.
on at that film, just completely devoid of any emotional response. Just being like, this film has completely failed at what it set out to do.
And following on that train, so that's why it fails as a horror, fundamentally.
Yeah.
It then fails as a movie for me because you're right. They did the smart thing of cutting down the cast because in the first one, although it works well, there are way too many main cast members. There's seven kids?
Plus the bullies and stuff like that.
Plus the bullies. So there's a lot of cast
Plus
members
Pennywise
to
as
follow.
well.
So in the sequel, they've cut that down to 5, which is still a hefty undertaking. But at least you've got the groundwork from the first one and then you can kind of streamline it, whatever. But then the interactions that they try and continue with. So the two main ones, Mike, who's the only black character, he I don't know, starts in Derry, stays in Derry. And
he is the deliverer of exposition. That's his character.
Yeah, and another being the token black character, he really achieves fuck all throughout the entire film, other than getting them there and fucking them over.
He literally, he's a propellant for the plot and a deliverer of the expositional information that I guess is required, but I just didn't care, and it was so, like, it didn't give anything of worth except, oh, here's how we're gonna kill Pennywise.
Yeah. Here's the story of Pennywise. He's a comet, an alien comet made of 3 lights.
And he attacked a Native American tribe as a bird, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
More stuff that's never quite explained. So Mike really has no take on the main story. One of the kids kills himself very early on. We should have done a spoiler warning, but I just assume if you're listening to this, you know we're going in depth.
I've got to say, that poor actor who played that character and then had to go through all the PR rounds, going on to all the interviews and stuff, being like,
I hadn't even thought of that.
And then he's in the movie for less than maybe 2 minutes, and then he just
says goodbye to his wife, and then
just goes up to the bathtub and just kills himself, and then he has to spend the next 2 months going to press junkets and getting interviewed by MTV News and stuff about It Chapter 2, and he's just like, it's like the guy who played Slipknot in the Suicide Squad movie, where he's literally in the movie for 20 whole seconds and then had to spend 2 months going to
flying around
all over the world. But I mean, I guess it's not.
Do you
bad.
get paid for the junkets? Or is it a part of your contract?
I think it's part of the contract overall.
That's a bummer.
But then, of course, if you're like a Will Smith or something, then there's
you're Will Smith, it's part of the job. But if you're
the guy who played Slipknot and Suicide Squad, it's part of your contract. You're going to play along.
And the worst thing about that poor fella, he turns up to the junket, and then say the 6 of them are there, and the interviewer goes, "So Will Smith, Margot Robbie, how was it on set? You other 4, we'll get to you." And by the time you get around to it, it's like, "Sorry, Slipknot, we actually don't have the time. So, did you have a good day? Brilliant. Anyway, today on This Morning."
Yeah, because it's going to be all like, so, like, Jared Leto was doing crazy stuff on the set, wasn't he? Yeah, that's cool. I love how we're just calling him Slipknot and not by the band's name.
I didn't want to make a mistake.
We're just like, and so Slipknot's like, did you tell us about your character? And the guy's like, he likes ropes.
Likes ropes. He's good at rope stuff.
Like,
okay, cool.
Sweet.
So Will Smith, tell me more about your relationship.
So Will Smith, we heard
with...
you've got this next project coming.
I mean, this is even further exemplified by the fact that you don't even know his name.
Exactly. So yeah, poor guy. But then that brings us to the two main relationships in the movie, which are James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain and Ben, their little love triangle, and I can't remember Ben's actor's name.
I can bring these up.
Bring it up. And the other one being Bill Hader and, as you refer to him, the hypochondriac. So unfortunately to Ben and hypochondriac, you are not well-known actors enough.
So the hypochondriac character or guy, he plays Eddie Kaspbrak, and it's James Rassone who plays him. And then Ben, who was the fat kid in the original movie and is now grown up and got all buff and fit and handsome, is played by Jay Ryan. That's the most... just like
Jay Ryan.
I'm an attractive man and my name is Jay Ryan. And his character's called Ben Hanscom.
So you've got the love triangle and character driven story of the Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, and James Risco. And it is problematic.
Oh
no, sorry, James. The other one.
Jay Ryan was the
Jay Ryan.
He's the other part of this.
So their whole thing, very briefly, is she's been carrying around so badly done. She's been carrying around the yearbook page. She's got the postcard,
but the postcard gets left in her old house. Remember, because that's her totem that she goes back to collect from the crazy old lady.
So, oh man, it's like thinking about it again. It's just so painful.
It's such a mess.
She's carrying around the postcard, which she thinks was written by James McAvoy's character, which ends up being written, and we know as the audience, was written by Jay Ryan's character.
And for context, she would have been carrying that around, or she would have known or had that postcard in her head for 27 years.
Because she fell in love with the postcard, and in the first film, it's
the wee poem.
It's not even hinted. She thinks it's James McAvoy's character, and she basically falls in love with James McAvoy's character.
The kiss at the end of the movie and stuff. And
the kids know halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And then
there's that sad scene of Ben, he sees it. He's
all sad. And then when it's ramping it up and they're trying to kill him, he separates Jessica Chastain and Jay Ryan's characters. And somehow, we need to do a podcast episode on... We did a podcast episode on bad movie villain plans. We need to do a follow-up on that, on its general...
Pennywise's plan.
Pennywise's fucking deal. So he throws Jessica Chastain and Ben into two dream sequences where he's getting drowned in mud and she's drowning in toilet blood water.
Yeah. Well, her family and stuff trying to get in and torment her and stuff.
And making a Shining reference.
Yeah.
Of course. And he's shouting, "I love you, it was me, I wrote the postcard." And she eventually hears him through the dream and they save each other. Great. What the fuck?
Yeah,
how is that the driving force of your movie?
It's so weak, and it shows just how poorly developed these characters are, because
you just don't care.
Because chapter 1 is a perfect example of those characters work really well together, they develop really well together, they have that wonderful chemistry, that great dynamic, the kid actors are so good together, and those characters become more because of their experience with Pennywise. In this movie, we have the setup of these are our characters, then they do the totem thing, which doesn't even give us that great an insight into those characters, and then they're just... It
tries with Bill Hader and Eddie, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get to that problem.
The main problem.
But then it just puts them in the plot camp of, we need you to be drivers of the plot now. We need you to get to the point where we can fight Pennywise. So as characters now, you're done. You're just tools to get the plot to the end. And then it's well, I didn't care in the beginning, and I care even less now. And then when they're in danger and stuff, and they're being threatened, and they're in these terrible, horrific situations, and they're terrified, I'm I don't care.
Yeah,
this isn't scary. There's no tension because I'm not invested. So, and these characters are just vessels at this one, empty vessels. It's and the whole, I've loved James McAvoy for 27 years but never told him, and I then literally just found out this guy's actually the one who wrote the podcast. The podcast.
Now I love him.
The
podcast.
That's just something.
Wait a minute, Ben, you recorded a podcast for me?
With a
If
beautiful
only it was that
tone.
easy, eh, Gavin?
Oh God! If only I could just record a podcast to make someone fall in love with me.
Yeah. But yeah, then she just completely, at
and
the
then
end of the
they're
film,
just
oh, wait, you wrote the postcard? Yeah, I wrote that postcard that you've been in love with for 27 years. Oh, cool. Well, fuck McAvoy, me and you. You're pretty hot.
And then there's that.
You used to be fat, but now you got a six-pack, so I'm down with that.
And then there's the scene where like they then kiss, and James McAvoy knows they're kissing, and he just kind of like smiles and walks
like,
away. And I'm
"Aw,
like,
that's
really?
good."
Because if I was him, I'd be like, yeah, what the fuck
That's
is going
what
on
I
here?
wanted.
You're in love with me.
Yeah. I mean, I know James McAvoy's married in it, but it tries to highlight that he's still got the emotions.
I mean, let's not forget Jessica Chastain's character's married to an abusive husband.
Yeah, I mean, you can forgive that one for flipping
I know,
away.
but it's just like
McAvoy kissing Chastain.
No, but here's the problem: just like it shows that she's been a part of an abusive relationship. She's got bruises up in her arms and stuff
Yep.
like that. The guy's beat her around. What effort does the film make to explore that? Nothing. Not a single one of her friends that she knew when as a kid mentions her bruises or her relationship. They don't
Yeah,
even
actually,
ask,
good point.
like, what's that in your arm? They don't ask about it. They don't know. Oh, are you
It's just,
married?
yeah.
Nothing. Because these characters aren't characters.
They don't
They're
give a
just
fuck.
things
They're
to
plot
service the
points.
boring plot.
And that brings us to the worst, the most egregious, there's your word, example. Bill Hader's and the hypochondriac kids' love story?
Yeah.
Like, so the final piece of this fucking mess of a puzzle, and we'll do this for not quickly, but we'll at least try and wrap it up after this. Throughout the course of the film, Pennywise starts ribbing on Bill Hader's character.
I know your dirty secret.
I know your dirty
I know your-
secret. And Bill Hader wants to run away from the truth, and he's making jokes and he's wisecracking, and he keeps flashing back to times where Bill Hader and that kid aren't intimate, but they spend a lot of time together. And it always shows you them guys, they like touching a lot, and they got their feet in each other's faces, and it shows you that those two they were more best friends than the rest of them.
Yeah. There's more of a connection between them.
Then the film starts off with a scene where a gay guy gets beaten up. Then Bill Hader's token scene shows him getting accused of being gay. Then Pennywise starts accusing him of, I know your secret, which you can, by that point, extrapolate is he's gay. Then the other guy dies, and the film finishes that arc of him learning who he is and coming out and being proud about his, being proud about who he is.
I wouldn't even say it does that.
No, it doesn't. It does all of that by showing you him scratching the guy's initial into a fucking bench or something while crying.
Yeah, a fence next to a bridge.
Is that like, what the fuck?
It's once again.
How is that again? Yeah, how is that another fucking plot point to progress your film?
It's another depressing example of Hollywood being terrified to say that a character is gay, but feeling that they are progressive enough by just having them exist there. Yeah. It's this frustrating thing that continues that. Like Harry Potter's a perfect example. Where like J.K. Rowling just like, oh yeah, Dumbledore's gay. It's like, maybe just say it. Don't. It's like, it's not.
Put it in your book.
If you say it, it's not going to like set the book alight. It's not going to burn your hands.
But it would have hurt sales.
Homosexuality, it's evil. It's going to burn our movie. It's just, why are you so afraid to just like see this character? Because even with Fantastic Beasts 2, they're like, there's the hinting that there was a relationship between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. But do they even make an effort to be like, there was something? No, they just completely dance past it and go to something else. I'm like, why are you so afraid, Hollywood, to just say a character is gay?
That's all it is. And the thing is, it now looks worse for them, bizarrely, because they've pussyfooted around it. And rather than rather than just saying, yeah, he's gay and he was in love with that kid and that kid's dead and now he feels miserable, and having a scene where Bill Hader wants to tell Eddie or something like that, nah, you're not getting any of that. You just get Bill Hader looking sad and he's maybe gay or he maybe isn't gay.
But like every other character in that film and every other thing, it just bulldozes past it, makes no effort to explore it. How can you have 2 hours and 49 minutes and achieve nothing? It's astonishing. It's astonishing. They had 2 hours and 49 minutes and they don't do anything with it.
Final words. I mean, so there you go, guys. Don't go see it. You want to give it a recommendation?
Absolutely not.
Nope. And I'm going to
It's
give it a solid.
Such a disappointment. I was looking forward to it because I enjoyed
So
the
it's
first
not
one
the
enough.
worst film I've seen. It's
It's definitely not the worst film I've seen this year.
so I'm going to give it a 3 though. It's below the even the halfway mark. So final thoughts on it. Final thing I want to say is their tokens are the dumbest fucking thing. James McAvoy has the paper boat that he gave his kid brother.
Yeah.
Fine. That one makes sense.
Georgie.
Hiya, Georgie.
Ben has his yearbook that the girl he's in love with signed.
No one else
that
did.
one's fine. That makes sense. Then Beverly has the postcard, which she's in love with. Fine. Those 3, no problems from me. Mike, what was his totem? Was it not just the fucking tub thing? I don't remember him putting anything in. He just has that tub. And he's like, you got to put your totems in now.
No, he put a rock in. Remember the...
A rock?
Remember he got hit with a rock?
Oh, in the rock fight.
in the-
Yeah,
yeah.
fine. So a rock, which okay, actually kind of. Like, but Bill Hader's and the kid that killed himself and the other kid, actually, their 3 totems were, so the
Shuriken.
hypochondriac was an asthma pump,
Yeah.
which, although is a part of his character, has nothing to do with the group's fight with it.
No.
It's just something he...
When you say an asthma pump, do you mean an inhaler?
Yeah.
Okay. I just never heard the term asthma pump.
Let's just assume
before.
it's an English thing and fly past it.
Asthma pumps.
Okay.
It's an
Do
English
either
thing.
of you have asthma?
No.
Yes.
Well, you should know better, audio boy.
I've always called it an inhaler.
I'm just too perfect, so I don't need an asthma pump.
So asthma, the inhaler, doesn't make any sense. Then going down the stupid line, actually these last 2 are just dumb as fuck, and they're on an equal level for
I mean,
me.
maybe with inhaler you could argue that's a factor, like he gets afraid, so he needs to inhale.
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a part of the group story. It just feels like something that's so. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's. He probably had asthma before it.
It's true. He did.
He had asthma
He was
after
a,
it.
He was a
like-
hypochondriac. He definitely did.
So then the final 2, which are the dumbest ones, the kid that kills himself, his totem is a hairnet.
No, it's a shower cap
Shower cap, sorry.
to protect from spiders in their den.
Shitty secret bunkered den.
Yeah,
And
which
Bill Hader's
doesn't exist in
totem,
the first movie. Is introduced in this one.
and a Bill Hader's totem is a arcade token.
Yep.
Explain that one. There ain't no explanation. It's just a fucking arcade token because they have a flashback with him in an arcade where a kid calls him gay and he runs away. And I mean, fair enough, because I was trying to think about it afterwards. Finn Wolfhard, is that
Yeah.
that kid's name? In the first film, I was like, what the fuck is his thing in the first film? He's just a kind of wisecracking asshole.
He just makes a bunch of like mum jokes and stuff, and always.
So there's nothing they could really even show you from the first film that would have made sense. But that is so unbelievably pointless. It's such a nothing thing.
I mean, that whole totem thing becomes pointless because they do it. It doesn't work, and then they just realize. And then they just do the same thing they did in the first one, which is
they insult it until
they
it
stop
shrinks.
being afraid of him, belittle him, and make him nothing. And I'm like, well, you did that the first time.
Right, wait. Let's move on, because otherwise we're just going to moan about it.
Yeah.
We just have to we have to change the fucking episode's title to "What the fuck was it?" Chapter 2.
So let's fire into.
The second blockbuster movie.
I guess Ad Astra will be the next one.
Yeah.
We'll fire into Ad Astra, directed by Gary Jones.
Gary Copeland. Did I direct this? I forgot about that. My time in Hollywood. Brad Pitt was a nightmare on set. Tommy Lee Jones.
No, James Gray. James.
Fuck! It's not even a Gary.
Nope.
God damn it.
James Gray directed it. The previous film he did, if anyone saw it, was Lost City.
James Gray not have an album out?
I mean, maybe a different James Gray.
I'm thinking of Earl Grey. James Earl Jones.
I mean, that's what James Gray looks like.
I'm having too many
Thinking
things.
of David Gray.
David Gray. That's probably the one
So
I'm
his-
thinking
his
of.
previous film was
not the T. Earl Grey.
Oh, good. God. Shut up. His previous film was The Lost City's End with Charlie Hunnam and Robert Pattinson. I wasn't a big fan of it, but people fucking loved it and I got a lot of praise. This film stars Tommy Lee Jones, Brad Pitt, Donald Sutherland, other human beings. This is a polarizing film for a lot of people.
Like a lot of people. It's been hit and miss. And I can straight out say I enjoyed it. I did. I came out of it and I thought that was good. I did enjoy it. It was cerebral. I liked the message at the end of the movie, which I think was I think what it was trying to say was good. However, I think it was muddled in its efforts to get what it wanted across.
Yes, because it tries to be two different films.
Yeah,
Which is a problem. And the two
films
different
are what
films it tries to be are so polarizingly different that they clash at times. You're just like, what the fuck movie am I trying to watch right now?
So,
What kind of movie are you
and what
trying
are
to
those
give me?
two films, Gavin?
So, in one sense, you have this kind of, as you said, cerebral, thought-provoking, slowly paced, very introspective movie.
Yeah.
All
About
through,
a man looking for his father and looking
it's,
for
yes,
answers.
It's all guided through the lens of Brad Pitt's character, who is a fascinating character, who I could have just continued to listen to and explore. But at the same time, it tries to be a sci-fi action movie with
James Bond in
shootouts,
space.
car chases, and
moon buggy chases.
sorry, moon buggy chases with pirates and
Moon pirates.
moon pirates and a buggy chase, and then fucking a random spaceship filled with man-eating baboons.
Yep.
And I'm just like, what? Because here's what I understand what they tried to do. They like the director like, I'm making this very introspective, cerebral kind of movie, very thought provoking with this main character. It's slow. It's so sci-fi, kind of like, it's like very 60s sci-fi in the way it goes. But we need to punch it up a wee bit. The studio was like, let's punch it up a wee bit. Let's get a couple of scenes in there. It's like,
Studio went, hey, we like all these scenes of people talking
Yeah.
because it shows the characters really well. Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. But there's also too many of them. We want to see some guy get shot in the head. I want to see a man with no nose get eaten by a baboon. And I want to see
well, he gets his nose eaten off by the
I
baboon.
want to see that. And I want to see a woman splat against a door in space because she didn't wear a seatbelt.
And he's like, "Ooh, how do I do that?" And the studio's like, "We don't care." And his response was to do it not very well because the two,
Just cram him in.
it's so blatant when it happens. Like you go from these really slow scenes where Brad Pitt's just kind of. He's giving these wonderful monologues, and he's like, "Who am I? What am I? What is my father doing?"
And then a colonel jumps in and goes, we're going to go across the moon and there are moon pirates out there. So watch out, Brad Pitt's character.
And then they're just driving across the moon, and then Brad Pitt's just like, "What's that over there?" And then like,
We got moon pirates coming in, Captain.
Oh my god! Blah, blah, blah.
What was the What were they going to steal off that buggy?
I don't fucking know.
A shot up battery or something? I don't fucking.
But don't you just love the idea? It's like we've got, because what was the name of the organization that he was working with? Just like
Like Emion? It's got an I in it.
like this massive corporation that has spaceships that can land on the fucking moon and Mars and
Mars.
fly to Neptune.
Yep.
But they can't land their spaceship on the other side of the moon. They have to land on this side of the moon and then traverse across a large swath of land filled with pirates.
Yeah, I like the science in it. Weirdly, the science in one of those things of just like, ooh,
Oh, your wee belly's rubbing.
we dumb was hungry. The science of it, but then however, in its defense, I'm the one guy that will stand up and say you can't pick the holes in the science of a sci-fi movie. The whole point of it's sci-fi. You don't question why the rocket can't land on the other side of the moon. It just fucking can't.
So we can
because-
have a space buggy pirate gunfight.
Yeah.
That's when, like, because I'm like you. I liked this movie. I came out of it. I thought it said it had some interesting themes. It said some interesting things. But at the same time, I was sitting there watching it, going, when those space monkeys and all, I'm just like, get out of the movie.
I mean, you
Stop
are
this.
100% right. The three parts of the film that I did think were just like, what the fuck was that? Moon buggy chase was bizarre and so like such a fucking just crammed in there.
So dumb. Like, so dumb.
Then the space baboon scene. I like that what I liked about it is I liked that it showed you that Brad Pitt is unfortunately, doesn't matter how secret his mission is, he's outranked and he's got to just fucking do as he's told because he's a soldier.
I mean, with that scene, I almost didn't mind it if it had been slower and more tense,
Yeah.
and the kind of drawn it out a wee bit,
Well,
and it
that's-
wasn't the most well lit place ever.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Because what I liked about it is that the whole film touches on is there life out there, and then
Yeah.
that scene you're kind of going, oh shit, is there an alien attacking that man? Oh no, it's a baboon. Oh, so this scene's pointless.
Yeah, and it's like the scene, like they get in the spaceship, and then it happens so fast, and he kills it, and then he gets off the spaceship, and it's all really well lit, so it's not like scary. It's not dark, and there's no tension because you're more trying to figure out what's happening than you are scared. And then it just doesn't really achieve anything, and then he just goes back to the ship, and then he just goes
The
to Mars.
captain's dead, and the new captain takes over.
And I'm just like, what was It's like there was no point to that.
then-
It served the film nothing.
The final big scene that I didn't like was the Mars scene itself, which I it added absolutely nothing to the movie. He goes, sorry, it does. The message he sends to his dad when he gives his nice message.
And that's when he starts to break down a wee bit.
That bit was fine. The scene directly after that, where the woman goes, I worked on Project Lima and your dad killed my parents. Oh, okay. And then she helps him get onto the spaceship, and that's her entire part. It's just an extra character they've thrown at you. There's no explanation of who she is.
She's there to just service the plot.
Yeah, so yeah. Saying that,
Also,
I
then
think
he gets onto the ship and then accidentally kills 3 people.
well, they kill themselves.
But it's so awkward. The one woman just flies into a wall. The other guy, I can't remember.
Then the captain is, I'm going to shoot you if you don't. You put your hands up, and then he shoots the other guy by accident, and then he shoots a canister of
something, and he dies.
Chlorine or something, and then it suffocates.
It's
them
so
both.
awkwardly done.
Yeah.
They're writing the script. Like, how do we
Brad
get
Pitt,
these 3 characters out of the ship? And it's like, let's just
without Brad Pitt being the bad guy.
Yeah.
So that's the bad stuff about this film. There's probably more bad stuff that you can pick apart, but I don't want to just spend another 5 minutes picking this one apart because we did both enjoy it. So
Yeah.
What did we like about the movie?
I think the central character is fascinating, and the monologues that Brad Pitt's, it's like the psychological studies that he does with the robot, where he's like, he just kind of tells about his day and how he feels about his day, and then the monologues he gives as well about the kind of introspection he has about his father and his place and all of this. So interesting. It kind of felt almost noir-esque at times, where like you've got the gruff detective, he's doing a horrible case and he's just monologuing about life and the galley loss and stuff. It's like a noir in space at points, and I kind of loved that. And Brad Pitt's great in this film because he's so subtle in his performance.
Yeah,
because you could almost,
it's not his usual Brad Pitt.
No.
Funnily enough, as well, talking about literally him 2 weeks ago, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's playing the self-assured.
It was definitely longer than 2 weeks ago.
Was it? Oh my God. When he's talking about he's the self-assured cowboy, and that's what we both said. Like, that's what's great about Brad Pitt. You get Brad Pitt, he's self-assured, he just rocks it, he swings his dick about. And then in this film, you're seeing the opposite side of that. You're seeing this still self-assured, but self-assured in a way that
he's good at his job, and he knows he's good at his job. But as a human being,
he's got the issues.
Horrendously damaged, but he's so efficient at his job, and he cares so much about being good at his job that he's able to switch off his, like, the emotional part of his brain, push it aside and say, this is a distraction that I don't need. But the longer the film goes on,
which affects his relationship with Liv Tyler.
Yeah, it affects his relationship with his wife. It affects him as an individual, and like in situations where he almost seems kind of cold and sociopathic. But then the longer the film goes on, the closer and closer he gets to his father, the more he learns about what his father's done. It slowly starts to, the emotions start to push the career man aside, and they start to take over again. He starts to break down, and he just gives his wonderful monologue, and then he finally gets to his father, and it's just,
his father's just a dick.
And
that's the final thing in it, which is,
well, the thing was,
that I like
the father
most.
says, like, they messed it up and I'm trying to fix it. They caused the pulses, not me. I'm not the bad guy. But he's
been the bad guy.
He pushed them to do that.
Yeah.
So he was the motivator for them fighting back, causing these problems, and now he's trying to fix the problems that he's caused, while at the same time find out if there's life out there. I'm really annoyed the film didn't go down that route of being like, there is life out there.
Oh, see, I disagree. I like the fact that it didn't. And the reason why, because I suppose you got to explain why you like something rather than explain why you didn't. The reason why is at the end of the film, when the whole message is, don't spend your entire life searching for something that may or may not be there. Be happy with the relationships you do have. It's pretty on the nose, but the fact that the dad went the entire length of the solar system looking for intelligent life, rather than just accepting that he has a family, he has loved ones, he has people that care about
that
him.
Fucking scene, he's like, I never cared about you or your mother. Your mother were just distractions that got away. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
totally. I feel like I'm looking in a mirror right now.
And then
doesn't make sense.
And then
I wasn't looking in a mirror. I was looking through a window into my past.
As yourself. And then Brad Pitt comes back and he's got that little scene with his wife at the end, which is all very on the nose. But I just loved it. I love the fact that
it shows that there's hope for the characters.
Yeah, I love aliens. I wish there had been aliens, but in this film, I'm okay with it not being for that reason. It's not about the life out there. It's about Brad Pitt coming to terms with, I got connections that I need to deal with.
I guess if they had at that very moment done an alien thing, it would just felt hokey and forced.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did like that ending.
And I think it adds more weight to the fake outs with the aliens the entire film, you know, because it's and I agree, it's constantly building up to there's going to be aliens out here, because then there's through the rocks at Neptune there's like a little blue light, and
I was like, oh, is that going to be something?
I was like, oh, is that an alien spaceship coming towards us? And someone was like, no, it's just the sun. And I went, oh, okay. But it's the way it's filmed, you know, you're not quite sure. Yeah, I like that it didn't, I suppose.
The thing I really liked about this film is it had a lot of ambition to it, but unfortunately it didn't have the budget behind it to do the CGI for those kind of ambitious moments, because a lot of the CGI in this film is really dodgy, and you're like,
you said weirdly, you said that. I didn't pick up on it at all, but you said about Brad Pitt's beard at the end and a few other
like
things,
the CGI beard at the end, and like all the stuff like the space station at the beginning when he's like walking around, like, ooh, this looks a bit kind of.
I just didn't pick up on any of it, which maybe I was just not paying enough attention.
I mean, some of it looks good, and other bits, it's like all the stuff like the pirate Martian fight thing.
Yeah,
I thought, these are just CGI blobs shooting at each other. Like, this is nothing. It's like, ugh.
So yeah, Ad Astra, recommend or not?
I'd definitely recommend it.
And I'd give it a solid 7 or 8 out of 10. I need a second rewatch before I could solidify my number. What is the next movie, Gavin, for our listeners to enjoy us talking about? New theme tune.
Let's go for Hustlers. Now, Hustlers is going to be a fun one.
Because Audio Boys hasn't told us why, but told us that it's going to be an interesting conversation between us.
Yes.
So, Gavin, what did you think about Hustlers?
I really enjoyed Hustlers.
Fuck off, did you enjoy it?
Yes.
What?
Did you not enjoy Hustlers?
Nah.
This is surprising to me.
Sorry.
It's because you hate women. Got him.
Oh, the table's turned. No, I didn't not enjoy it. I think I enjoyed the first 2 acts. I enjoyed half of the third act, but I had problems throughout the whole movie. I don't know. You want me to go first this time?
You go first.
So, Hustlers, I started off, I was really enjoying it. And I liked at the beginning, I liked the message of, you know, women can do what they want, you know, sleazy Wall Street men should, you know, you should
get some sort of comeuppance as they never
They should
did.
get some comeuppance, you know, watching women strips not the greatest thing. Look how seedy these men are. And then the characters of J-Lo and Constance Wu.
Yes.
Check me out, knowing actors' names and shit. And then the relationship that's building between J-Lo and Constance Wu, I really enjoyed the entire movie. And I think that's why in the third act, for me anyway, it all just falls apart, because J-Lo's character is this motherly character who's looking after J-Lo, and the film shows that she's kind of, I don't know, maybe greedy, maybe not smart enough to kind of keep her con going indefinitely, and Constance Wu's smart enough to go, nah, this is starting to get like ridiculous, and you've brought in these fucking lunatics and they're going to get us fucked, which they inevitably do. And then the film just finishes with no closure. It just stops, and it doesn't show you J-Lo, like what happened to Constance Wu. It doesn't show you what happened to J-Lo. It doesn't show you what happened between them two. It just shows you that they both got caught, and then Julia Stiles interviewed them, and that was it. And I just kind of went, I just didn't piece it together enough for me at all.
I went on a path with this film.
A whole path.
I went on a path. I went on a wee journey. Audio Boy, you were going to say something? No? I went on a wee journey. I went on a wee journey with this film, which is Audio Boy said to me, oh, go see Hustlers. It'll be a good film to talk about. Mm-hmm. But I'd seen the trailers for Hustlers, and I'm just like, that looks shite. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in seeing Hustlers. It looks like Magic Mike with women. Mm-hmm. Now,
and Gavin hates women.
Well, if I don't like Magic Mike that has men in it.
Had to get it in there.
Well, in fact, no. I think Magic Mike 1 is an interesting film, and then Magic Mike 2 is just shite, because it was just like, oh, let's just do the whole stripping thing, whereas Magic Mike 1 actually tried to, because Steven Soderbergh tried to do something really interesting with, I think, Magic Mike, but it didn't really
I
come
didn't
together.
see either of the Magic Mike films.
I would recommend checking out the first one. It's kind of interesting. It's not just...
You know, honestly, when I first met you, I thought you'd be the kind of guy that would recommend Magic Mike to me. Now that I know you more, I know you're not, but back then...
I don't know how to take that, what that means, but okay.
I thought you were gay.
Oh, okay. Well, if we're in It Chapter 2 right now, I won't say, just in case. I'll keep it
Go
secret.
carve your and someone else's name on a bench.
But yeah, so then I went and saw the film because like, for the podcast and stuff, I'll go see the film.
For the podcast.
For the podcast!
I'll take one for the team.
I'll go watch these women dance sexily, I guess. Oh, what a hard afternoon this is going to be, quite literally. Boom.
Boom.
There we
Bone
go.
joke.
Yeah, the film started, and then I was watching it initially, and I was like, what was Audio Boy on about? That this would be something that... I just, at first I wasn't getting it. I'm just like, what am I supposed to be getting from this film that is going to be worth talking about?
Yeah.
And then the more it went on, the dynamic that then... I feel like I've said the word dynamic too much today. The relationship that formed between Constance and Jennifer Lopez's character...
You can refer to her as J-Lo.
Okay, J-Lo.
That's what she prefers.
Thank you. And the way that evolved started to draw me in.
Yeah.
And then this weird thing happened where that film completely just kind of put hooks in me and pulled me in and had me just transfixed to it, and I wasn't sure why. And it's not the obvious thing of sexy women dancing, because that kind of goes away after a while and it becomes about these characters.
I would argue that it doesn't ever go away. It spends much of the film showing you women dancing and men getting drugged, and then at the end of the film, when they're not even in the strip club anymore, hey, look at these women wearing barely anything and looking very sexy.
I mean, yes, everyone looks very sick, but my brain stopped seeing that and instead started focusing on these.
So I was right.
Shut up. Shut up. I'm just appreciating a good film.
I know, I'm joking.
Yeah, it was those two characters and their story that kind of really drew me in, because the way I perceived it was Jennifer Lopez is the antagonist of that film. She is the bad guy in the end. She manipulates and uses Constance Wu and a few of the other girls around her, and just so happens to become friendly with her at the same time.
What?
But primarily, she is this... Literally, when I saw her on screen, the first thing I thought was, this is like... You know that scene in Jungle Book when... what's the wee kid called?
Mowgli.
When Mowgli goes into the jungle and then gets kind of hypnotized by the snake.
Car.
Thank you for knowing these characters' names, and gets like kind of hypnotized by the snake and like put under its spell and stuff. That's the way I looked at the dynamic between Constance Wu and J-Lo. J-Lo was the snake, and Constance Wu was just Mowgli, just innocent and just looking for anyone to look after and help this kind of lost wee child. And she was like, I can use this for my means.
I mean, yeah, but rather
and
than...
that's the way I saw Hustlers.
No, in that, what's the word I'm looking for? In that scenario, metaphor... Constance was Mowgli and J-Lo is Bagheera, who is this parental figure that kind of not even begrudgingly actually just takes them in and kind of starts looking after them.
I didn't see her as a parental figure. I saw her as someone who saw Constance Wu as a tool to be used for her to gain money, and it just so happened that they became friends out of it.
But I'd kind of agree with you on that, except then J-Lo would have thrown her under the bus at some point. But the reason it all goes to shit,
well, I feel like she goes into that situation with the intention of using her, and then ends up befriending her and falling in love with her, almost seeing her as her sister, and didn't plan for that or expect that. And that's why later on in the film she tries to kind of push her out and bring in other people so that she doesn't get as affected by what's happening, and she can use these other people and manipulate these other people instead. That's the way I looked at the film, and that, for me, now that's completely my interpretation. It could be 100% wrong. The director could come in and...
I'm not going to say 100. I'm going to say 85%.
Okay, thank you for 85. The director and the writer could come in and say, no, Gav, you completely... But for me, looking at it that way, that's what drew me to that film and had me so interested by it. The other thing that had me interested was the director of the film, which I'd brought up and I've forgotten already, Lorraine Scafaria, wife of Bo Burnham. There you go. Who did 8th grade this year.
Bonus note.
She has such an intense vision with this film. I feel like the camera work, the music, and the way it's edited together shows a director that I'm excited to see more from, because I feel her vision.
It's funny that
her vision was so, it kind of like pulsated from the screen at times. It was just so intense and just drew you in. You were just so hooked by it. I was like, this is a director who not only is.
I'm really surprised that film was directed by a woman. Sorry, I
feel
genuinely.
like I feel like we're in a day and age in Hollywood now where women are more willing to do things like that if they know it's a female director, because they feel more comfortable and more safe.
I know, but I think the reason I'm more like, I think I said this to Audio Boy. I kind of touched on it. I get that. I totally understand that. And the whole film tries to do that. Look, sleazy men, you shouldn't go strip clubs. Strip clubs are bad, and look what might happen to you, and blah, 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 blah. But then it has so many scenes where it just shows you women stripping.
But you can't avoid it.
Yeah, you could,
but I feel
you could film an entire film that is about women who work in a strip club without showing 5-minute long sequences of them stripping for men.
But one of the interviews that I read, and the way the director talked about it, was these are athletes, and this is their sport, and they are very good at it, and they make money from it, and they use it to fund their house, pay their bills, look after their kids. Why should we shy away from something that they are good at, some may be proud of? And
because some may be proud of it, but unfortunately the stripping...
I know, but
there's a lot of shit that goes along with stripping.
The larger aspect of Hustlers, which I like, is for once it's a movie that has the aspect of women stripping, but it's not the focus of the film. It's not like these women strip and it's...
but it is.
No, but it's...
The first 2 acts are full of women stripping.
No, but what I mean by that is like the film doesn't treat strippers and women who strip as if their life is consumed by stripping.
No, totally.
And that's what I'm meaning by that. It's like, yes, there are scenes where you watch women strip, but the film doesn't treat stripping as anything lesser. It doesn't look upon it as
I
something
gotta disagree
lesser.
Because I agree with you that it shows that these women are people outside of just being strippers, which is great, but it still falls into all the tropes of, and now we're going to have a scene in the women's locker room with a bunch of half-naked women. Now we're going to have another scene of J-Lo. We're literally going to have a scene of J-Lo stripping for what? At the beginning, 3 minutes? Just a full-on...
But that scene, yes, it's a great stripping scene. I ain't going to deny it. But what that scene shows is the stature she has within that establishment. It's like everyone else does their stripping bits and they make their money and whatnot. But when she walks out on stage, she takes over that place. She takes control. She's the one in charge. She's the lioness of the place.
I appreciate the meaning behind it, but they could do that without having her stripping.
But if it's
they could have had the scene.
Stripping is a part of her career and a part of her life. It's not the sole focus, but it's an aspect. So why shy away from it and not just show it? Why be afraid of it?
Well, because the film itself shows you that they do stripping as a last resort.
It's almost as if you're...
I have a problem with stripping because it helps the sex industry, which is also a fucking shit show.
Sure, but in the context of this film, you can't have this film without showing it.
You can.
You can
do the whole film without having women like strip.
But I feel that for the women in this film, it's a part of their life. It's not the focus of their life. It should be shown, and I feel
why should it be shown?
Because I feel that it shows them in places in these kind of powerful positions. Because when you think of
I don't care how much you want to say. When a woman is fucking flailing around on a pole, half naked and getting money thrown at her, they're not in a power position. I don't care how much the film tries to make it look like. Look how much money J-Lo's making. Look at these men eating from the palm of her hand. Oh, look, she's so strong and so powerful. Nah, stripping's fucking awful. And you could show that exact sequence by having her walk out and having a creepy guy run after her and try and talk to her while she's talking to Constance Wu on the way out, and still show that she's the fucking the lioness, the fucking top dog in that place, without objectifying J-Lo. But the film is constantly objectifying J-Lo and every other woman in it. That's the problem.
I just like the way the film went about focusing on it.
I'm sure you did.
What do you feel, Audio Boy? I'd be interested to see what you think. What? I am. That was a true statement.
I felt this would be an interesting topic of conversation, and I feel that it has been an interesting topic of conversation.
We said our piece. We're probably going to get into a bigger argument about this on the walk home. So What would you recommend or not recommend the movie?
Where are we walking? What?
We're walking to the quiz.
Yeah.
I was just fuck off. Recommend or not recommend?
Recommend, definitely.
Yeah, I unfortunately I didn't enjoy it that much. I kind of did what you were talking about during it. I was kind of like at one point, and I wanted to enjoy it so much more, and I just didn't. And my biggest, I've kind of spoke about it, but yeah, so I'm gonna give it a. It was definitely better than it though, so I got to go higher than a 3? Did I say?
Really, that low? Jesus Christ,
man! I mean, I had issues with it.
One thing I will say is there's been Oscar buzz talk about it for like J-Lo's performance and stuff.
Yeah,
the film's good. J-Lo's fucking fantastic in this film.
I got no problems admitting that.
Her performance,
even Constant Wu's performance are both.
I thought Constant Wu was a little weak at times. She wasn't really always
weaker.
wasn't always able to hold the film together.
That's
but I think
next to J-Lo.
J-Lo is fucking immense in this film. I'm like, that's a great performance. But the Oscar buzz talk around this film, calm down, people.
Yeah,
calm down. Not a chance. Is that? Oscar
I would never have
content.
said that was Oscar worthy.
No,
I mean, I didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much.
It's only because I've heard rumblings, people talk. I'm just like,
even in the world of this film's not great, but this person's got a best actor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nomination. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that. All right. How long have we been recording, audio boy?
Just shy of an hour.
Okay, we can probably cram in 2 short ones.
so we could do. We want to do Rambo.
What do you fancy? Rambo?
Last Blood, and then we got to end on the farewell.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So Rambo, Rambo 5.
Rambo Last Blood.
Rambo 5, Rambo Last Blood, the finale.
Is it though?
It's not. if you stuck around, not even an after credits sequence, just if you stuck around for the entire animated credits that they love to do, you would have seen it's not the final blood. It's probably going to be the first of another
trilogy
blood.
Or something.
It can't be a trilogy. There's no fucking way.
It depends how this does at the box office.
It's probably not. Yeah.
So
So
I don't think that information will be out yet. But.
What I find interesting about this, and there's a conversation to be had about diminishing returns, and I went into Rambo with the lowest of expectations.
Yes.
My only expectation was that I wanted to see a bunch of people get brutally murdered.
Yeah.
That happened, and I left. Now the rest of the film isn't great.
Nope.
But because I got what I wanted, I have ranked that pretty. You know what I mean? Like I ranked that higher in my internal ranking system because I got what I wanted.
So
no, I'm not saying. Sorry, when you went, I'm not ranking this high.
No, I'm just looking at the budget.
Oh God!
How much it's made? So the production budget, 50 million.
Okay.
So far, worldwide, it's made 46 million.
Oh, it's not good for Rambo.
This is what it's been out for like.
It's a short film, so not short film. It hasn't been out for too long. I'd say a week, 2 weeks.
No,
Max.
It's not been 2 weeks. I'd say like it came out. I'd say a week at this point.
Week of point.
As of recording this, it's been out for a week,
which is still.
But by the
pretty
time
bad.
this episode comes out,
So it's done a weekend, yeah. Of course
it's done a weekend. And
Oh, okay, that's bad. That's real bad then. So Rambo: The Last Blood. We're trying to make this one quicker.
Directed by Adrian Grunberg.
It was for me, like it tries to give Rambo. More of a.
It tries to give him some emotional stakes.
And
Instead of just either teaming up with the Taliban or shooting the Vietnamese, which is what he does in 2 and 3.
And then he gets told to by an authority figure.
Yeah, and in number 4, which was on TV, last night we stopped for a wee bit, he's just killing Indonesian people, and that movie's just dark and unpleasant. So unpleasant.
And this one, they try to give him an emotional stake, so he... Never heard of them before, but he's got not a daughter, but he's raised a girl from 10.
He's raised her for 10 years.
No, 8. Sorry. So 8 to 10 because she's 18 in this.
Yeah.
So.
Because her father left and her mother passed away, leaving him, the 18-year-old, and the grandmother. On a ranch in Texas.
And the 18-year-old, as 18-year-olds want to do, decides that she wants to go and find out why her dad left her. And
let's not forget the really cool party they have in the tunnels.
Oh, the tunnels.
Well, I can't wait to talk about those tunnels.
Let's wait. So the 18-year-old, has a party, then tells Rambo the plan, then fucks off to Mexico. And on her one night in Mexico, gets drugged and sold to a horrible, the worst kind of pimp.
Pimp or
it's a pimp, but it's like a sex slave thing. Like a really bad slave brothel.
Yes.
I guess it's not pleasant at all. And sold to these two brothers that are the most mustache twirlingly villainous.
This is something I was saying
Villains.
to Audible last night when Rambo 4 was on the TV, which is because of the horrendously violent acts that Rambo enacts
Yeah.
on people. They have to make the villains so evil and so villainous
Yeah.
that they just become cartoonish.
Yeah.
So like in the one that was on the TV last night, which is just called Rambo, dumb.
I thought it was, okay. Oh yeah, it was.
It's just called Rambo. So it's
Yeah.
like every single man in that who's a villain tries to rape a woman. Every single one of them.
I mean, that's a lot.
And then in this
How
one,
many men are villains in that movie?
there's like 2. They're like plus there's the Indonesian militia group of some kind.
Yeah.
And then in The Last Blood, it's 2 men who just treat women as objects, sell them in the sex industry.
Drug them, sell them into the sex industry, torture them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're made out to be horrendously bad people.
Which then, when it comes time for Rambo to be Rambo and kill people,
You're like, yeah,
you're-
go Rambo.
It's like you can't be upset at the level of violence he enacts these men. It's like, yeah, take it. They deserve it.
So, yeah, and yeah. So very briefly, the final story plot before it descends into 40 minutes, 30 minutes,
30
of
minutes, I think. 25,
30
30 minutes
of Rambo
just absolute bloody chaos.
carnage.
In those tunnels.
Is Rambo's adopted daughter goes to Mexico, gets sold, drugged, yada yada yada, sold to these dickheads. They then drug her. Rambo comes in, steals her away. She dies on the drive back.
Which was bold.
So it sounds like taken up to this point.
It would, I mean, pretty much.
It's kind of taken, but if Liam Neeson did find his daughter, but got beat to a bloody pulp, and then she died.
And then she died.
That's-
that was bold. That was fucking just hardcore of them going, yeah, let's just kill the daughter. Fuck it. And then, I mean, but then, like you say, it kind of gives Rambo. You mean you're
Just-
always
it
rooting
gives
for
him
him.
the
It means that he
justification.
could have done. He probably could have done anything to those people, and I would have
Because-
gone. Yeah, well, they deserved that.
Because if she survived and he got her to a hospital and then they were like, let's go get them, he would still be justified in the violence, but not to the level he goes to. But because she died, you're just like, fuck it, go nuts. Have fun, John.
And yeah, and then it's 30 minutes of carnage, and
In the tunnels.
In the tunnel, and let's.
We've teased the tunnels. Now let's talk about these
Yeah,
tunnels.
I think we can both say that we fairly enjoyed this. It's you get what you
I mean,
think
for
you're gonna
example,
get.
on the same day I went and saw It Chapter 2, and then I went to the pub. I needed pints after It Chapter 2, obviously. So I had about 3 or 4 pints. And then saw there was a showing for Rambo. Thought, fuck it, I don't need to be sober for this. So then I walked into Rambo. Not enthusiastic, but like, fuck it.
Fuck it, it's
I'll
on.
take it. It's only 90
not?
minutes. It's nice, it's breezy, it's
Yeah.
quick. And it's fine.
It's what you were expecting, though.
I laughed at it, not
Yeah.
with it. And I give the film props for some good practical effects and some good some good blood squibs and real blood effects.
Yeah.
There's no CGI squibs in this.
Okay.
There's no blood CGI blah blah blah.
Everything's
There's some
practical.
good there's some decent action and there's some good deaths.
Yep.
You always expect good deaths from a Rambo movie. This film gives you some good deaths. But in the end, when he's monologuing and sitting on his porch in the rocking chair, is he going to die? Is he not going to die? I was like, I don't give 2 fucks.
And that, in turn, comes down to the fact that Rambo's face is 90... Not Rambo, Sylvester Stallone's face is 90% plastic now. So that poor man is trying to emote anything, and it's just like looking at...
The one scene in the car when
mask.
the girl dies, he gives something.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it's just a plastic
I don't
bag.
think he can move half of his
It's
face.
just a plastic bag that's been like nailed to a wall.
He looks a bit like Mike Myers in Halloween. Like somebody's got a Sly Stallone mask, bleached it, put it on him, and that's...
Yeah, well, I think one way I
How he
described
now
it
looks.
is as if they'd cut off Sly Stallone's face, stretched it across a mannequin face, and then put that on his body and sent it out to act.
Or Sly Stallone's face ripped off and then put on the kid from Mask.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of... His face is really tall.
Yeah.
It's weird. But yeah, hey, let's just talk about it. The reason Sylvester Stallone lures all of the rapist torturers into tunnels
That he himself dug.
that he himself has dug.
for
and
no apparent reason whatsoever than he just wanted to dig tunnels.
The film explains. The film's explanation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
for
the film
tunnels.
explains quotation marks.
The adopted daughter says, "Hey, Rambo, let me have the party." He goes, "Oh, show him the tunnels." She's like, "Oh, you don't let anyone in the tunnels." He's like, "I'm gonna let you and your friends in the tunnels." So they go into the tunnels. They have their party. They fuck off.
They have the saddest, most
Just walking around tunnels.
literally they show up at like 8 and go home at 11. They all drink one beer each, probably a Bud Light. One guy tries to kiss her, she says no,
Fuck
and
off.
he accepts that. Which I'm like, good on him.
Good on him.
He respected her boundaries. And then they just leave, and she just puts like 3 bottles into a bag and says, "Oh, I need to tidy up." I'm like, you're in fucking tunnels.
So then Rambo comes back and goes, "Well, what did you tell me about my tunnels?" And the film's explanation. "Well, I told them that you're a little bit crazy and you like to dig tunnels." Rambo goes, "Yeah, I suppose so."
And that's it. That's
That's why his entire farm has a fucking badger's nest of tunnels underneath it. Because he's a
Laden
little
with-
bit crazy and he likes to dig tunnels.
And they're laden with C4 and guns and weird.
There's one room that's full of. There's one room that's an armory.
Yes.
and then Kevin McAllister's the fuck out of it.
Does the most violent Home Alone-esque tunnel system where like a guy's foot falls into a box of knives,
Yeah.
and then he just throws another knife at his head.
There's the other one that I love where he just rigs a bunch of shotgun blasts into a plank of wood so that
Yes.
when you step on it, all the shotgun blasts fuck your shins off into oblivion.
He's got the classic spike floor, so you fall down into
Classic
some spikes.
spike. 3 blades that swing out of a wall and just clip
Yep.
you in the fucking head.
Big fucking one that like big plank or big log of wood that comes down and hits you in the head and caves your face in.
Great. It's all staples of
All the classic like mutilating traps that you want.
And at this point in the movie, I know that they weren't going to do it without murdering all these people, but the bad guys turn up on the farm. They in their black SUVs. One of the black SUVs blows up out of nowhere, and a wall of fire appears. Then they all get out and they're like, "What the fuck's going on?" And Rambo pops up, shoots another one in the back of the head.
Like
and
a
they're
fucking
"He's
gopher
over
out of the
there."
ground.
Yeah. They're like, "Go check the barn." And there's 3 of them at the barn, and a sprinkler comes on, soaks them in gasoline. Rambo shoots a bag which is full of fire or something. I don't fucking know, but it explodes, sets 3 more of them on fire. And then at that point, surely you'd go, "Oh, you know what? This guy clearly has this."
He's prepared, and we're on the back foot, and we should probably turn around and run.
But no, let's follow him into this little trap door that he's put on the ground. They do. They get trapped in his fucking tunnels.
Yeah, his elaborate tunnel system.
And at what point would you decide, fuck this? People are falling around me like flies. Every single turn has a
I can
trap.
answer the question in the context of the henchman from Rambo, which is never. You just keep going further
keep
in,
fucking
apparently.
following, yeah. And
You hear the blood-curdling screams of your compatriots from down the hallway, and you think, "Do you know what? I'm going to walk towards that."
Man,
that sounds like a good idea.
what I find even funnier about that is if you were in there, if I was in there, I'd be like, "Yo, Gavin, do you want to just fucking leave?"
I'd be like, "Yes, please."
Yeah. And here's the thing. He's already killed one of the brothers, Terrible.
Yeah.
The other brother, Terrible,
It's
judging
somewhere-
by the car chat on the way over, I was trying to play I Spy, but he was just talking about how he was going to chase this guy to the ends of the earth. So he ain't coming out of these tunnels.
He's in here somewhere, and he's in until either he wins or Rambo wins.
This random fucking guy, Rambo, he's going to win. I'm pretty sure now. If we just fuck off back to Mexico, even if the rest of the gang ask us what the fuck happened, we just tell them, "Oh, they sent us back. They said they're coming back.
Retreat, run.
Retreat. So
Death
we
has
did.
come to get us all.
And no one will know because all of them are dead. What do you say?
Yeah, let's get the fuck out of here.
Fuck me. When do you have that conversation? Never. You're right. Those people just kept fucking like lemmings to the fucking slaughter.
It was ridiculous after a while, but it was fun to watch them
It was
all
fun to
get
watch.
pulverized.
So yeah, Rambo, recommend.
I'd wait till it shows up on a streaming service.
If you have a Cineworld card.
If you've got a Cineworld card, you got a free afternoon, you're out with your pals, you have a couple of pints, go for it. It's just stupid fun that you can laugh at.
I'm putting that on 5. That's a midway film for me.
The finishing point I want to make is I don't know what happened to the Rambo franchise. I don't know, because the first Rambo is a beautiful film. It touches upon PTSD and the struggles of the men who came back from the Vietnam War, and it's has a beautiful monologue and incredible acting by Sylvester Stallone in that movie. That film is gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's brilliantly paced, it's a great thriller. And then apparently everyone forgot about that movie and they just made 4 of the same dumb, bloody, violent shite nonsense. And I'm just like, what happened?
It's weird that people have that. They think that Rambo is just blood and guts and they've forgotten about
I think in Rambo
else.
First Blood, like maybe 3 people die, but then in
It's more than 3, but
yeah, but it's like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But then I think he accidentally kills one person in that movie, and like when he's back in America.
Yeah.
But in Rambo 3, the kill count's over 200. And
It's a lot.
And he helps the Taliban in that movie.
Yeah, it's not great. So, wrap that one. I think, move on to the final movie.
And oh boy, I can't wait to talk about this one.
Oh, man. So, it's The Farewell, which is still out in select cinemas currently.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it now, if you can see it, go.
See it.
Just go.
Of all the films we've talked about on this list, this is the best one.
100%. Fun story. I got told, hey, why don't you meet me at the cinema at this time? We're going to go see Downton Abbey, and then we can go record.
For context, this is me telling him.
This is Gavin saying this. Yeah, you know.
This is
Gary, come along here. We're going to watch the Downton Abbey movie, then we can record our Downton Abbey episode. That'll be a good laugh, right? Yeah, totally. Fucking that sounds sweet to me. Turn up at the cinema. I was running late.
Shocking.
We go in, we sit down. There's Oriental music being played, and I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. And then The Farewell popped up, and I thought, it's funny. You tricked me. You got me. I've not done any reading about The Farewell at this point. I don't know what the fuck I'm about to sit down for. And then...
God, I'm a good friend.
God, you're a good friend. 30 minutes into the film, I realized what was happening, and my little heart started to rip. Just a touch.
If you'd like to give a wee... I'll give a wee synopsis of the plot. That makes more
I don't
sense
know
if
if I
I
can
do
talk about it yet.
because The Farewell, it's about this girl and her mum and dad who live in New York, but they are originally
they're
from
immigrants from
originally
China.
from China, and they are told that their nai, which is their gran,
On the father's side,
has cancer and has about 3 months to live, but they're not going to tell the gran.
It's a part of their kind of cultural...
In Chinese culture...
I don't know if it's Chinese culture or if it's just part of the area they're from, but it's their tradition and their culture to not
tell them because they want for them to
the
live
saying
out.
is that it's not the cancer that kills them, it's the knowledge of death that ruins
So they would rather them live out the last few months or days or weeks of their life as happy as they can, surrounded by the family they love. So they all go back for the pretense of it being for a wedding, but it's really for the whole family to see her. And then it's just this beautiful film where you just experience in the most purest form a family being a family together. And it's so beautiful, it's so gorgeous, it's so touching, it's so inviting, it's also wildly informative and teaches you about a side of culture that you're just not aware of. Because I was learning so much from that film. It was interesting that because at first when the film was like, oh yeah, we're not going to tell the gran that she's got cancer, I was like immediately with my Western brain being like, that's terrible, you shouldn't do that. But over the course,
and then the film does a really good job of showing
and then over the course of the film, it shows you why they do this, to the point by the end of it I was with them, I agreed with them, and I understood why they were doing it, and I accepted it, and I kind of loved that the film did that. It's not something I'll personally do in my life.
I don't think you get away with it over here.
No, like they said in the film, in America this would be illegal.
Yeah.
But it's still, I understood why they did it, and I kind of loved why they did it as well, because of what this story shows you of the experience of the gran, and how happy she is to have her 2 sons back with her, and her...
she's just happy to see her fucking family.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And the actress who plays the gran might be the purest, most beautiful human being on the planet. She's so incredible.
And she reminds me so much of my own nan.
Yes. So, do you want to go into that at all?
Oh, man. So, for anyone that doesn't know, my nan, who was very, very dear to me, passed. And she passed a good couple of years ago now. So, you know, these things happen. I'm aware of that. But watching a film with a woman who reminded me so very much of my nan, and her sister who reminded me so very, very much of my aunt, and the family saying goodbye and realizing that, I didn't quite get to say goodbye the way I wanted to, and I didn't get a fucking whatever. The last 30 minutes when it all starts to come to a head, oh boy, I was gone. My heart had ripped the whole way. I was weeping. Gavin was just next to me, not making a single fucking noise. I couldn't hear anyone else making a noise, so I was doing that thing of, right, cry quietly, Gary. And I couldn't cry quietly. I was fucking in bits. I was just gone.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it though. It was heartbreaking. It was so incredibly heartbreaking. Go see that movie.
And I guess for then fun context, the film ends and Gary's crying, and I'll leave for a wee bit. I need to go relieve my bladder, so I'll give Gary's time.
AKA cry in the bathroom.
I keep all my emotions very deep down inside of me. Plus, I have none left.
How's that working out for you?
I have none left at this point. Anyway, so I left. I gave Gary his time, just to
and it was a long time. I sat through almost all of the credits.
Yeah, I took my time paying, and I took a good time. And then, if that was another part of like when we walked up to the cinema, you're like, oh, I'm going to grab some popcorn and a drink, like, cool. And the girl who's serving us, you went, hey, we've never watched an episode of Downton Abbey.
We're trying to see the Downton Abbey movie.
I'll tell you what it's like when we come out. And I'm thinking like, okay. And then we come out of the movie, because I wasn't sure if you knew we were seeing The Farewell or not.
No, you didn't tell me.
I'm sure I did.
You 100% didn't.
Anyway, so we come out of the movie and you're still kind of crying and holding it back. And I was just like, I need to bring some cheer and some jovialness to this situation. And I'm like, do you want to go tell her what you thought of Downton Abbey? As you're just like uncontrollably weeping, just like, and I was just
streaming.
And I was just like, if he goes up to her and he's like, it was so beautiful.
It was a great movie.
It was everything I wanted it to be.
Man.
It was like, and then we're getting escalators down. And for more context, this is the first time ever that Gary and I have gone to the cinema together. Him and Audio Boy, at this point, it's just a daily event that those two go to the cinema together. But me and Gary, we finally went to the cinema together last week, and the first film I take him to emotionally snaps him in half and leaves him a blubbering mess.
Yeah.
So I'm
This
like,
is why we went to see Dora. It's a fun thing.
so I was just kind of like, hey, so welcome. This is what it's like when you come to the cinema with me, Gary. So
it's great. But yeah, I think it's the only film in this list that I don't want to spoil, really.
Yeah.
And I think we've done a pretty good job so far. So I kind of want to leave it there. Recommend, not recommend?
100, like, if you could only see one film out of all the ones we talked about today, go see The Farewell. It is gorgeous.
It is. And for me, it's a solid, it's a solid 10. It's a solid 10 out of 10 movie, and I'm never going to watch it ever.
Yeah,
again.
you're never going near that film again.
But just anyone who doesn't know, it is subtitled. I think that's the
Yes,
only
it
thing
is primarily a subtitled film.
Primarily, there's English through it, but it's mostly subtitles. If you're not into subtitled films, grow up and fucking
become
sort
an
your shit
adult
out.
and watch this fucking subtitled film. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I think we'll wrap it there. Any other films that you wanted to at least just very quickly say was good or bad?
Jump onto Netflix and watch the Between Two Ferns movie. It's hilarious.
Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, it's real fun.
And I will say,
and stick around for the bloopers at the end of that movie as well, because they are so good.
Ready or Not with Samara Weaving, and I think that's probably the only actor of note. Oh, and the guy from
The OC.
The OC. Yeah.
We both knew that.
Adam Brody, something like that.
Yeah, he was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Man, it's along the lines of Cabin in the Woods. It's a horror film which is so tongue-in-cheek and so aware of everything it's doing. Brilliant fun. If you get a chance, go see Ready or Not. It's a hoot. It is a hoot. But yeah, all right, guys, that's it from me. I've been Gary.
And I forgot what my name was, so I've been Gavin.
I think it was the man of 1,000 compliments.
Oh, I'm the man of 1,000 compliments.
Give me another one.
No, I'm going to give Audio Boy one this time.
Go for it.
Trench foot.
I was going to... Never mind, no compliment for Audio Boy then. Goodbye.
We've been the Meandering Movie Podcast. You can catch us at Gmail.
Meandering Movie Podcast at gmail.com. Jump over to Twitter at Meandering Pod. If you go to Facebook or Instagram, you can search for the Meandering Movie Podcast and you'll find us there. Gary's on Twitch, Pixels Cafe. If you're listening to this on iTunes, all of this is in the description down below, so you can click on all those handy links. And yeah, have yourself a wonderful week. And nope, that's all.
It's the beginning of Spoopy Month. Spoopy!
Yeah, we'll do some horror-based stuff, I guess.
Bye!
Okay, well, bye then. I thought we were going to have a conversation. You said bye. Bye.
It's Meandering Movies. It's Meandering Movies. movies. It's Meandering Movies. So won't you lend an ear?